So all of a sudden you have a why, a who, a where with astrology. Then you have a how to do this, how to create a plan to accomplish what astrology has told me I'm capable of. Then you bring in somatic experiencing to teach you how to use human design if you're not familiar with working with your own intuition and you're not familiar with what a yes and a no feels like in the body, or what an emotional yes and an emotional no feels like. And then yet even more, if somatic experiencing it's difficult for you to understand, then you bring in what's called the core language approach, which is a trauma recovery system created by the psychologist Mark Wolin, discussed in the book It Didn't Start With You, which talks about being able to identify memories, emotions, and experiences in the body through the use of words. Hello, world citizens and British people and men. Astrology is the who, the what, the where, and most importantly, it's the why. And human design is the how. They go together. In fact, if you're familiar with human design, then you already know human design incorporates astrology. But if we were to think about them as isolated silos, this is astrology, this is human design, they still go together. A lot of times what happens is that people process, they learn, they study their natal chart, they understand it, they see it, but they don't really know how to turn potential skill sets and then even the things that they need to avoid into actionable, a plan. That can be difficult with astrology because after you've dissected the why, the where, the who, you then have to dissect the action plan. You have to be able to read the way the aspects talk to each other versus the transits that are happening now, and it can become really over-encompassing. But the easiest way to apply what you've learned in your astrological natal chart is to overlap it with your human design, which is something that I really love to do, and I've been really excited about all these new sessions that I've been doing, which are human design, astrology, and the core language approach, which I'll talk about later. But when you overlay your bodygraph chart, so that is a human design chart, with your astrological natal chart, what you get is an action plan. So all of a sudden my second house Taurus, which means so much. So this is just one example of what second house Taurus means. A person who can make money through their voice. I can look at my history of lived experiences, interests that live in my body that I know exist. Oh, I'm a singer and I've been able to successfully make money as a professional singer. I've also been able to make money as an actress. I've been able to make money as a person who speaks on screen on social media. Even taking that further, every lucrative day job that I've ever had involved speaking, consulting, presenting, and the use of my voice. Even within my business, the services that blow up have to do with me speaking. Back when I was talking about the 4-house method for marketing and astrology, I talked about the fact that the time that I offered written natal chart readings versus voice natal chart readings, the voice natal chart readings took off. I made like over $4,000 in a week from the voice natal chart readings alone. It is a money hack for me. That is something I can assess by thinking about what I've experienced, what I've already done, and what my interests are. There's no limit to how I could use it. I've never done broadcast news. I've never done voiceover work, but I could probably conclude that that is something that I could do because that's under the wheelhouse of second house Taurus, as defined as using the voice to use money. Do you understand? You're going to naturally look at the things you've already experienced that fall underneath that category. You're going to look at the things that you are naturally interested in and decide, am I interested in this? Am I not? You're not going to use it as a form of limitation. Like, well, here's a definition that I identify underneath the second house Taurus, and I don't want to do it, so I guess astrology doesn't work. Instead of looking for the things that make sense, second house Taurus is also somebody who makes money through culinary art. I don't care about cooking, babe. I don't want to make a meal for you. That's never going to be lucrative to me because I'm never going to enjoy it enough to build it up as a skill. Because some of the things there, it's not that you innately can do it. It's not always a natural skill. It just means if you apply yourself here, you can profit. Whenever I've wanted to be good at cooking, I can be. When I was in grad school and my life was go, 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 I really loved cooking because then I didn't have to think about schoolwork. I could just focus on cooking, and I became so good at making recipes from scratch. But in my real life, when I have balance and choice, no. So I'm never really going to monetize that, or at least I don't intend to at this point. So that doesn't make sense for me to take that definition of second house Taurus means become a chef, a cook, make money, because I would just throw up and like feel lost forever. But I can look over like, oh, Taurus is also the physical throat, it's the physical voice. So I can monetize that because I like that. It's also real estate. I don't want to sell houses. So if I just focus on that, I feel lost. Everybody's looking for the out of not knowing what to do so that they don't have to do anything. Because knowing what to do means you are now responsible for your future. You're now responsible for what happens to yourself. If you have knowledge, if you have the information, if you have a plan and you fail to act, then it's your fault. But if you don't have knowledge, you can blame it on the fact that you don't know enough. Keeping with the example of a Taurus second house, what a lot of people like to do is, because I cannot go through every single definition of Taurus in the second house for someone who's just commenting on a video, I'll just give you like a high level definition of what it covers. And I'll even say this is a broad category where many things can apply. Please look up other things that Taurus rules. And they'll just go, oh, well, I don't want to sell houses and I don't want to be a chef, so I guess I don't know how to apply this. Instead of going, oh, you know what? I Googled Taurus in the second house and I saw that it's voice and I do like singing. It's just like put in a little application. But here's the fun part. If you're stuck there and you genuinely don't know how to apply the lessons of your natal chart, so let's say you have, again, Taurus in the second house, and you're like, I know that this means singing. I know that this means singing. I know that I love singing, and I know that I love speaking and talking, and I have such an energy behind what I have to say. But I genuinely don't know how to monetize this. I don't know if I should, sing on the internet. I don't know if I should go out there voice acting. I don't know where to focus my energy. Real answer, baby, is really just experimentation. As soon as you start to do it and something fails, now you can cross it off the list and go to the next thing. It's really just try. Fail quickly. That's the first thing I learned in business school, was fail quickly. Have a great idea, implement it, go, let it fail. All right, now we scratch it off. If failure isn't a reflection of me, it doesn't mean I'm dumb, I'm stupid, and I'm not incapable. It means I am a scientist practically approaching experimentation of what will work, because I know I can keep going. This is not going to end me. I'm not going to invest all of myself and all of my money and all my time into it. That's the point of failing quickly, so I don't invest too much time in it. You see how it works? So the best way to do it is just go through your list. That's what I always say, like in the one-on-ones and even in my emails. Experiment, do it quickly, try it, fail, cross it off, go to the next thing. Because sometimes you don't know what you enjoy until you do it. And sometimes you don't know what you're good at until you practice. You don't know until you know. You can't know until you know. You can't know until you go. You can't know until you do. So you got to do it. Experiment is the answer. Boom. You don't need an astrological reading now. You can leave. You can go. Experiment. For the rest of us, there is yet another way. And what is that way? Human design. The whole point of human design, it's so much information. It's so overwhelming, but you could get away with just knowing your energy type, your authority, and your strategy. And people don't actually struggle with that. People struggle with it. People don't actually struggle. People struggle with it. People don't actually struggle with it. What they struggle with is trusting themselves. What they struggle with is really understanding what is yes and what is no in their body, because that's what human design is. Human design is a system for helping you to understand yes and no within your own body. For some people, their emotions tell them this is a yes or a no. For some people, their gut instinct is their yes and their no. For other people, in their body, their physical body, there is a yes and a no. For other people, the experiences and people that come into their life become clear yes and no. And for other people, time passing becomes a yes and a no. We all have that all. And all human design is telling you is that you can have a gut instinct and you can have emotional instinct, we'll call it. You can have both. But based on your energy type, so the way that energy flows through your body, the way that you embody ideas and energy, one of these instinct centers, as I'll call it, is more likely to be accurate for what you want. It's not about what is ultimately right or wrong. It's what feels good, what feels fulfilling, what feels empty. That's all it is. I have emotional authority, but I also have a gut that tells me things. And sometimes they have a conversation. But at the end of the day, my emotional authority gets the deciding vote. So my gut can go, and sometimes my gut helps. Sometimes listening to the physical sensation in my body helps. It's all information. When we get into epigenetics and the fact that your DNA is 98% memory, how could you not listen to your body? It's 98% information about what worked and didn't work for your ancestors. How about that? And that's science. That's what it is. And so it's like, I'm going to listen to emotional authority, and it's going to reveal the truth to me of what actually feels good and what's wrong. Logic's going to argue, hey, there's no way we can go visit our family. We don't have the money for that. We don't have the time for that. We can't take off. We were sick. Logic is saying, emotions are saying, go. This feels right. and then you leap and you go, and then all of a sudden, I don't know, you get an artist grant. That happened to me once. Not in that instinct. I was like, I really want to move out of my parents' house, but I don't think that I can do it. I don't think I have the money, and I don't think I should go for it. And then nothing happened, and I decided to initiate, because I am a manifester, by going on apartment tours and looking at applications. I applied, and I'm like, I don't know what's gonna happen, and they approved me. I was like, that's crazy. My credit score is 4. And they approved it. I don't know if I have the money to actually enact this contract. And then like 24 hours after I got approved, I found out that an artist grant that I applied to a month or a couple of months before, I completely forgot that I applied for it, came through, and it was like $5,000. And then the day after that, I got a remote job that paid $25 an hour, and that wanted me to start that very day so I could start earning instantly. Hello? And if I had not acted on the apartment, gone on the tour, applied, then a lot of those good things still would have happened, but I would not have been in a situation that made me happy. I might not have been able to move. I might have lost that money on some BS because I'm like, well, I'll never get an apartment anyway. And then when the opportunity seemed right, maybe I didn't have the cash. In fact, I'm pretty sure the only reason I had been applying to jobs and high paying ones because I was like, look, if this application comes through, I want to have a job. And finding a job is a numbers game. So I might have been applying here and there because I need money to get through the world. But at that point, my parents don't charge me rent. Sorry. I know. They don't. They don't. So I didn't actively need money to have a place to live. But the pressure of knowing that I wanted an apartment, like, I gotta have money to have a place. So I was churning out them applications. I was churning them out. And everybody said no except that one job. When it comes to getting a job, you only need one yes. Just like when it comes to having a life partner, you only need one yes. So what does rejection mean in the face of you only need one yes? It's a numbers game. Hello. If I would have listened to logic, I would not have been in a position to do what feels right and what felt right. I feel like I should do this. And it was not knee-jerk. It was every day I'm going to wake up and I'm going to encounter this question and I'm going to see how I feel. Because the gag of emotional authority is that you have to ride the emotional wave. It's not like I feel really strongly, so I'm going to act now. That's usually wrong. It's like when I calm down, when I'm away from the stimuli, how do I feel? How do I feel tomorrow? How do I feel next week? Do I still want to do this? I did that with my septum. I knew that I wanted it. I felt that I wanted it, felt right, but I let a couple of years go by before I got it. I just wanted to suss it out, and the feeling never changed. And so that's a more emotional authority. Sacral authority, on the other hand, is defined as that gut instinct, that gut feeling. That can be trickier. So can the spleen one. So can all of them. So what I like to do is bring in somatic experiencing or somatic therapy, somatic practicing, which for me really makes human design sing. So all of a sudden you have a why, a who, a where with astrology, then you have a how to do this, how to create a plan to accomplish what astrology has told me I'm capable of. Then you bring in somatic experiencing to teach you how to use human design if you're not familiar with working with your own intuition and you're not familiar with what a yes and a no feels like in the body, or what an emotional yes and an emotional no feels like. And then yet even more, if somatic experiencing it's difficult for you to understand, then you bring in what's called the core language approach, which is a trauma recovery system created by the psychologist Mark Wolin, discussed in the book It Didn't Start With You, which talks about being able to identify memories, emotions, and experiences in the body through the use of words, which in turn can give you a guidebook on how to use human design. And I use it that way, and I teach it that way in my one-on-ones. So I recently started a new service that brings together astrological reading, human design, somatic experiencing, and the core language approach. And what we do is we talk about here's where something is in the chart. For this service, we're talking about purpose and self-fulfillment. So we're not talking about chasing money, because chasing money comes and goes, and then you feel empty again, or you get the money, you still feel empty. We're talking about embodying the feeling of fulfillment and then letting that direct purpose. So we talk about where is purpose and fulfillment in the chart. Here's the what, here's why it's there, here's how it connects to me and my experiences. And then we go to human design to talk about how to enact this. What is that process? And if someone's a little less familiar with how to access human design as a process, then we talk about it somatic experiencing. And if that's still a little difficult, then core language approach, or what is called body mapping or word mapping, becomes a tool to access somatic experiencing, which gives us a tool for human design, which allows us to fulfill the promises on the natal chart. And I know it sounds like a lot, but it flows really well in the 40-minute sessions, I promise. I should also note, if that service seems really intriguing and you want to try it, depending on when you are watching this, it might not be available, because the truth of the matter is I'm one person, I'm a single person, and my one-on-one sessions, my bookings for people to work with me for consulting, they're not always open. I'm not always able to accept the level of demand that I get for one-on-one services. I get booked out, I get tired, I just go through spells where I don't want to book. People get really upset about it. Somebody emailed me, I'm gonna book you for one-on-one on your site, but it looks like it's closed. I'm like, yes, that's because it's closed. Thank you so much for your interest, but if you join my mailing list, it'll let you know when I'm open again. She's like, well, I wanted it right now, and so that's just really disappointing that it's not open. Yeah, I get it, and I sympathize with it, and I love that people want to work with me, but I'm not Walmart or Amazon. I'm a human being. There's just so many factors that will determine when I can take one-on-one services. So depending on when you see, right now at the time of posting this, the service is available for one-on-one, but it might not be available for you if you're seeing this in the future, because keep in mind that media, until it's deleted, it's going to exist forever on the internet. So it might not be open, boo-boo. That's why we create evergreen content like these videos, so that you can always come back to it as a source. And from time to time, I also include downloadables that you can keep as a learning resource. And there's also Patreon. Patreon is a little inconsistent for me, but when you get the gems, they are amazing. They're like 20-30-minute videos that you need to study, come back to, ruminate with. You can ask me questions. Everything I've ever written about astrology and human design, it lives forever on Patreon, and they are lessons that you can read through. And so there are a lot of resources for you if I'm not available for one-on-one. That's also why I do like the ebooks and stuff. So I just wanted to say that's the concept of the services, bringing it all together. Those 4 things, when practiced and applied and trusted, and you lean into it, and I'm not expecting you to trust it automatically overnight, but I am expecting you to practice it. Don't go do it once and like, Katie, didn't work and I hate my life and everything's awful and this is wrong and it doesn't work. Granted, it's not going to be for everybody. It's not going to be for everybody, but things take time to cultivate.